gang, just a quick gear update here. I'm just going to do this quickly with the iPhone. So I got a couple of new pieces of gear here that's going to go into the rack sometime today. We got a second distressor here. Got a really good deal on this. It's actually upside down. And I picked up another IO, another Apollo 16 to add to our IO, and I bought both of these pieces. Actually, I bought the Apollo from a gentleman who's getting out of working on music and was getting into photography, and unloaded this thing to me at a wonderful, wonderful price. It's only a couple of years old. It looks brand new. Same gentleman had a distressor for sale that he sold to me for literally just about half price of what they cost new. Doesn't look like it's hardly ever been used. So I got really good deals on these. So the second distressor is going to be added to here. We're going to make that a stereo pair, and that's going to become our electric guitar bus compressor. Will be two distressors for now, and then the Apollo 16 is going to be added to these. Now these are the X16s, the ones that I currently have. These are the Thunderbolt 3s. This is a Thunderbolt 2 that I can still daisy chain together with the Thunderbolt 2, the Thunderbolt 3 adapter, which I have. I spoke to Universal Audio. They said you'll have no problems. This will give me another 16 in, 16 out. And the reason why I want to do that is because, what we've talked about in some of our early mixing videos, is currently I have all 32 channels, right? And on the last six channels, on these 6 faders, we were using parallel compression, and we were doing Effects 1 stereo and Effects 2 stereo for reverbs and delays plugins in the box. I wanted to free up these 6 faders so I can take advantage of all 32 preamps for just audio, and I want to put these 6 faders, and I'll actually have more, over on our short faders. I'm going to put them up here. So by using the new Apollo 16, that gives me 16 mono out, or 8 stereo pairs, right? All of these now become effects returns. So I can put, short reverb, mid reverb, long reverb, a delay, let's say, a couple of delays, a third delay, or parallel compression, whatever I want to do here. So I'm going to put the parallel compression and the effects returns for reverbs and delays in the box, and I'll show this all to you when we get to that point, how I'm going to route it, but they're all going to be here. So our effects blends will be here, and that will free up the last 6 channels here for the preamp section that I can use for audio channels, so I can do a little less comping in the box on sessions that need it. So that's what we're going to do. So that's why I picked up this to add to this rig, and then this will add to the distressor as a stereo pair. So today what I have to do, or this weekend, is I got to make some room, because now we're going to be dead out of space. So what I'm going to do here is we got some 2-space plate down here. I'm going to move all these patch bays down 2 spaces, because all this patching stays hard patch. We're not pulling things in and out as you saw in the setup videos, at least not for now. So I can drop these down 2 spaces. That will give me room to put the that other Apollo here, and still leave a space in between each one for cooling purposes, because these Apollos vent on the top. And although I've seen people stack them right on top of each other, I'm not a big fan of that if I cannot do that. So we're going to put the other Apollo down here, and then we're going to rearrange this rack a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, and actually I've added another rack up top here. So what I think I'm going to do, because one of the things I don't like is I don't like the gear that I have to put my hands on to adjust when I have to go from the sweet spot all the way over here and then get on the ground to adjust these components. I want to get these off the floor a little bit. And I knew that when I bought these racks, but I figured I would start with them like this. But anyhow, so I have this other spare rack, which is 8 spaces up top here, 4 and 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, on one side, I'm going to put the 2 distressors, the Aphex 204, that's 3. And then our other trans-Y FET style compressor for the second guitar bus, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 will go in this rack. That gets these up at more eye level, if you will, where I don't have to crawl on the ground. The computer will be moved. And then in the other 4 space, I think I'm going to put the LA2A, which is a 3 space. And I'd love to put the bluey, but I don't think it's not going to fit. So for now, I'm probably just going to put the LA2A up in this rack, and then I'll leave up in there, and I'll leave a space open at the top for future use. The NG bus compressor can actually be pushed down, and also the 500 rack, I think I'm just going to swap these two around, because the NG bus compressor and the Dione, plus another little magic compressor by West Audio that's coming soon, little teaser there, we'll talk about that shortly, all can be controlled, digitally controlled with the plugin, which you've seen in one of the videos, I think in the bass video that I did recently. So I don't need to physically touch these two pieces because they're all digitally controlled from the plugin. I can sit right in the sweet spot, adjust them at the computer, and it digitally controls them. That's what's great about them. So this can be moved down. I'll probably put the NG bus compressor down in the bottom slot. I'll put the 500 rack, well, actually, it'll probably stay right where it is. And then what I can do is I can move the bluey up a little bit because the trans Y is going to be moved over. I'm going to try to move this up a little bit as well so it's not so low in the rack, and try to, where I have to put my hands on things, get them a little bit higher. So I'm going to utilize this other rack that I've had in the back. It's actually made by the same guy that made these two racks. It's I can't remember this name here. You could search him on Reverb. Santica Sound and Recording. He made this rack here for another project I had that I haven't been using. It's an 8 space, and then he also made these two, so they match pretty nicely. So if you look at it there. So I'm going to do some rearrangement this weekend, get all the gear in there, and then we're good for now. The other part of this project too, I've already started. Sorry for the shaky video here. Is I started going through and making sure that every single cable and every single piece of gear is labeled. Every power cable is labeled so I know what it is. You saw some of this with the D-sub cables, but I went through and did them on all the gear, everything. And I'm using, people have asked me what tape is this? This is just gaffer's tape. It's just, I bought it on Amazon. It's gaffer's tape in fluorescent orange. Actually, it's right here. The name of the tape, if you want to know. Gaffer Power. You can find this right on Amazon. It was like 12 bucks for a big roll of it. I use it all the time. What I love about the orange is it stands out. You can see it clearly in the dark, and then I use a Sharpie to label everything. So every single cable is labeled on both sides going to each piece of gear. And the reason why I did that is so as I unplug stuff, I know where it all goes back. And then part of my other project is to try to clean this up a little bit as best as possible, and to try to get some kind of wire management where I'm going to have a little bit better strain relief on some of this stuff, so I'm not pulling on the connectors. I have some ideas on how I may want to do that. Maybe you guys can leave some comments below and let me know what you think. But I'm thinking about putting some kind of a wire management bar across maybe the rack, maybe screw it in here, and then the cables kind of come up over the top, and then it's cable tied. So what's going to the rack has real, not much strain put on it. And that'll also help clean up some of this too. I mean, Dave and I did the best we could, but we were also working on trying to get things done quickly. And it's not horrible. I mean, the fact of the matter is it's just a lot of cables. So part of this project is to try to clean this up as much as possible. Try to maybe route the power cables down one side of the rack, try to route them that way, try to get the signal cables coming in the other side, and try to get some strain relief. So I have to work on that. So that's part of this project too over the next few days. Step 1 is getting the gear into the rack. Step 2 is once everything is working, I will tackle this and show you, well, here's kind of the before, so I'll show you some afters after it's done. And that's it. So that's what's going on, and then we're pretty much done. I mean, for phase 1, I know I've said that before, but this was really essential for me, really, to be able to get these effects returns on the short faders, because the short fader, we're not using the preamp, right? Because the preamp can only be used on the way in from the DAW, either on the long fader or on the short fader. It can't be used on both at the same time. But for effects returns, it'll work perfectly. So I want 32 channels of audio. 32 channels of audio. I don't want to tie up any faders on effects, because we're using all reverbs and delays are all being done in the box for now because I don't have any hardware for that. That might be next year into phase 2. We'll see how it goes. So anyway, this was essential to making that happen because we were out of IO here. We were out of IO, we already had, so we needed another 16. And again, I don't need 8 pairs. I mean, do I really need 8 reverbs? You know, between reverb, delay, and parallel compression, do I really need, 8 stereo pairs? Probably not, but it'll, the X16 gives me that, so we'll have it. And who knows, maybe we'll end up using that much. And then again, he had a distressor that I have upside down here. He had a distressor and he gave it to me for half price. So I thought that would make a nice stereo pair with that one. So anyway, that's the update for now. Again, thanks so much for all your support, everyone. I really do appreciate it. I love the fact you guys are loving the videos so far. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think. And any other video ideas you have. And as I get this thing kind of buttoned up and get everything working with all this new gear and all the wire management, I will update you maybe either at the end of this video or another video. So I'll see you guys soon. Hey guys, so I finished putting all the new gear in. Let me just kind of show you what we did here. So as we talked about, we moved on all the patch bays to the bottom of the rack because that stuff doesn't really get touched. I put the new Apollo 16 here. So it's the 3rd unit, so it goes this one, daisy chains into this one, daisy chains into this one, goes into the computer. The computer I put back on the shelf, back in the rack, because I had some open space to get it off of the top of the rack. So I really don't need to get to the computer. I have this new OWC Thunderbolt 4 expansion dock for the Mac Mini M1, which is really great. There's a USB-A and a couple of Thunderbolt 4s on the back. Then the Fusion got moved up one spot. And then down here we have some open space where the LA2A was. The Titan, the NG bus compressor hasn't moved because, as I said, both of these can be controlled with the digital plug-in inside of the DAW, so I don't need to come down here and touch them. I was able to move the LA2A up, which is great. Took it from down here, put it up here, which is great. Empty space for now. And then in this top rack that I added, let's see, on the right side, we just moved up the Bluey. We have 2 more spaces for future expansion. I would have loved to got the LA2A in there, but that's a 3 space and I'd run out of space. And then over here, I've consolidated the 2 distressors, the Apex 204 and the Trans Y for the guitar bus. So this will be for one of the guitar groups. We're going to link these together to put this on electric guitars. This will be on acoustic guitars for now. This is on kick and snare. And that's the rack. So we got some expansion room. We got these up in the air so I could easily come over here and not have to get on the ground, which is great. And everything seemed to work fine. I daisy chained, like I said, that Apollo unit to those 2. Now that's an old MK, that's not an old, but that's the last revision. The MK2 version, not the X16. And so I just needed a Thunderbolt 2 to Thunderbolt 3 adapter, which I had by Apple. And they work perfectly. And when I went and set the template in Studio One, or not in Studio One, in the Apollo, you'll see now, hopefully, that we have the bottom unit. So up top is the blue is the first unit, the first X16. The green is the second, and the orange is the third, which is the new one that I put in, the MK2. So I have all 16 in, 16 outs. I saved my template, I updated my IO matrix. Remember, we need to do that, right? Always need to do that. We learned that from a few videos ago. And then when I look at this in Studio One, let me minimize this. All my IO, I have to update the template now, but you can see down here maybe, let me get a little closer for you. So C is the 3rd unit. So A is the first unit, B is the second, and C is the 3rd. So we have another 16 in and another 16 out. That'll, again, I'm going to update that template. So we're going to route all of our effects, returns, and parallel compression to these 16 small faders. So we're going to have 8 groups, 8 stereo pairs, which will give us more than enough. And then once again, that will free the parallel tracks and the 2 effects blends that I had down here. That frees up these 6 faders for more audio tracks if we need it. So now we can take advantage of all 32 tracks and put all the effects returns down here. Oops, sorry. So the only thing I'm waiting for now is I have 2 more D-sub cables coming that will connect from the board, the console. This will be the short fader D-sub input, which I'll show you when we get to that, and then that will go right to the it'll be the the output of the new X16 to the inputs here, and that's it. We're not going to go from here back into the X16 because I'm not going to print the effects, but you could also, if I had 4 D-sub cables, you could go from the short faders. You can go out of the X16 into the short faders, out of the short faders if you wanted to print, and you could print it back into the X16, but we're not going to do that. The only thing we're printing in is our group tracks, as you guys know about, our buses, and then the 2 stereo print track, and that's it. So I hope this was a little helpful, little gear update here. Again, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I do really appreciate your support, and that's it. So that's kind of that is now the official end of phase 1 with all the equipment. And then we still have to do some wire management in the back, but that's for a whole nother video. The wire management is going to be an entire new video. So that's the way the racks look, and we will have some room for expansion in the future, but that's it for now. So until next time, I've been Dave with MixingMusicAnalog.com. Thanks so much, guys. Hope you enjoyed the update. See you soon.